right, so we're going to talk about Meandering Scars.
Yes.
It's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
One that I didn't know much about, and I was riveted by it. What drew you to the story?
So many things. I'll start by telling you how I found the story. So when my business partner and friend Cody and I decided that we were going to start a documentary company, we didn't know exactly what our first film was going to be. So we just knew we wanted to tell social impact stories, very often focusing on the disability community because I'm an advocate for that community. So fast forward to 2020, we start our company, and again, we didn't know what we were going to start off with. So we ended up thinking, we're both millennial journalists. What do we do best? We tell stories and we create content. That horrific word that we don't like, but we can create stories that we share, sort of the way we did in news, and put it on our YouTube page and social media, so we can get out there the types of stories we want to tell and show people how we tell them, and also maybe find the documentary along the way. And that's literally what happened. So one of our first series we were going to do was highlighting people with disabilities making an impact in the fitness industry.
Oh.
And so we were introduced to all these various people, Paralympians, people with disabilities making an impact in the weightlifting industry. And I was introduced to Erica Bogan, who is the subject of our documentary. I was introduced to her as a Spartan and CrossFit athlete. And so we're chatting, doing a pre-interview for this series we were going to do. And at the very end of the interview, when we were about to sign off, she mentions, oh, by the way, I'm climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And I was like, excuse me, lady, way to bury the lead, And so then she tells me my reason for doing this is because I struggled with mental health my whole life, since paralysis. And I've had suicidal ideation, and I've had many friends with disabilities die by suicide. And I'm doing this to spread awareness about suicide and mental health struggles in the disability community. And honestly, when she said that was for me the hook. It was like, of course it's cool that she's climbing this mountain,
Of
but
course.
that was the sort of, wow, I need to be involved in this story. And so then I called Cody, and the next thing you know, we're creating a documentary.
It must have been a very unique experience for the team climbing a mountain together.
Oh, it was quite an experience. I mean, already climbing a mountain, I think, is on its own a difficult feat. But having to do that with camera equipment and filming and preparing and directing a story, I mean, it was unbelievable. I say that it was the most difficult, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done. All of those things in my life, because it really just challenges you in every way.
Well, you're also covering a very important topic, domestic violence, and the suicidality, which I was not aware of.
Yeah.
How was the process of you researching all that and learning about all this stuff?
So really interesting. When we decided we were going to tell this story and create this documentary, we wanted to have a component. We wanted to talk to someone who is a researcher in this realm, so someone who focuses on disability and suicide and mental health. We couldn't find anyone. We called every big suicide disability nonprofit, for-profit. Nobody had anyone at the intersection of this. So we kept searching. Finally, we find this research paper from the UK, printed in the late 80s. And Cody and I are like, okay, let's just reach out to these people and see if they know anybody, or if they're still doing that research. So we send an email to every researcher who was listed on the sheet. We heard back from one person who says, I'm not doing this anymore, but there's actually a woman in the US who you should talk to. She works at Ohio State. And he pointed us in the direction of the only woman in the country who researches at the intersection of suicide and disability. And she herself is disabled. She works at Ohio State University. And we use her as a voice throughout the film. She is really, you see what Erica's experiencing, and Lauren, her name is Dr. Lauren Chasm. She is really that expert component of, what Erica's experiencing is not just a one-off. This is a real thing that other people go through.